What's up, Night Owl? Still here back with another Candlekeep video, and today we're going to be having a look at the Canopic being. Now, I want to go over something really quick before you get too into this adventure. Make sure that your party is level 13 when you run this adventure, which is what the adventure is designed for. If your party is level 14 and in particular has a Necromancer, they can actually use their Necromancer ability to gain complete control over the Mummy Lord boss at the end of this adventure. For those of you that are unfamiliar, at level 14, Necromancers get the ability to command Undead, and depending on the Undead's intelligence score will determine how long the Necromancer can control them and some details about their save. What is important is that the boss of this adventure is a typical Mummy Lord, no real changes to the stat block with the exception of the spells. This means that a Necromancer can gain complete control, basically enslave the Mummy Lord permanently. So keep that in mind. For this chapter, I do not have a map for you. Some issues came up while I was remaking the map, and I got kind of frustrated with it, didn't like the results. So this one, no map. The future chapters will have a map. I've already have those designed. You get in the Discord. I have the maps for future chapters, and I have all of the previous chapters in the Discord. It's just this one, the tomb, that I do not have a map for you. The premise of this adventure is that a powerful divination wizard has become a Mummy Lord and has marked the party as targets to become Canopic golems and serve the Mummy Lord. A scholar at Candlekeep has also been marked and has gone to the Mummy Lord, and by the time the party reaches the scholar, they have already died. And this is how the adventure begins. One of the Avowed is concerned about the missing scholar who has gone to the Mummy Lord and reaches out to the party in order to help out. And the reason that they've chosen the party specifically is because their names are also written in the back of the book that the scholar was researching, as well as the scholar's name. And there's also a handout from the author of the book, Zimru, that you can give to your players that's provided in the Candlekeep book. The Avowed will ask the party to go to the House of the All-Seeing Orb and investigate the disappearance, and they'll offer the party 5,000 gold pieces to do so. They will also offer to cast a teleportation circle that the party can use to teleport to the House of the All-Seeing Orb, the Divination Temple. When I was running Candlekeep, I said that there was already a teleportation circle set up within Candlekeep. That way I could put these teleportation circles throughout the adventures that I was running, and they could always go back to Candlekeep. And I sort of made it like a private thing, like once the party gains access to the Emerald Door, and sort of a private teleportation circle that the Avowed are allowed to use, and that the party will eventually gain access to. This is up to you. Now, once the party teleports to the House of the All-Seeing Orb, this section of the adventure just before Valen's tomb is sort of filler. They can roleplay with NPCs, various servants of Savras, the god of divination. They can also gather some information, learn about the Avowed that arrived recently. They can meet the leader of the House of the All-Seeing Orb. They can learn rumors about Valen and some of the people that serve Valen. Just filler stuff before they reach the tomb itself. Now, the tomb is located at the bottom of a well that is hidden under a trapdoor in the shed in the back of the House of the All-Seeing Orb. And the only real way to reach it is to be told where it is from one of the divination wizards, or to be escorted there by the leader. You can change this if you like. I didn't really care for that. You definitely don't want to have it be reliant on a roll, like a successful roll. Like if they fail, they're just stuck. You want them to eventually reach the temple or the tomb, and you could do that. They could find it on their own. They could do it through role play. This is entirely up to you. Now, as far as this tomb itself, this tomb does exist in an extra dimensional space, and it has a few key features that I'll go over. The walls, floor, ceiling, and doors of this entire temple are made of a crystal that is see-through. The party can actually see through and see the rest of the dungeon from any room within the tomb. There are some rooms that are blocked off in this way that you can't see through, which are covered in each of the individual rooms. There's also eyes scattered throughout the dungeon that sort of watch the party as they move through it, and each of these eyes is connected to the boss, Valen, who is watching the party as they move through. The book doesn't say that the party can't see through the walls into Alessia's bedroom, and it also doesn't say that there aren't eyes in there. I didn't really like the implication of that, so I just said that that room was blocked off from view and it didn't have eyes inside. Now, as for the dungeon itself, it does have a lot of Mad Mage vibes to it, with these super long hallways that lead nowhere, essentially. And there's not a lot of enemies in here, so it'll be really easy for you to read up on the enemies. There's the dais that summons Dao that attack the party. It's got a cool sword inside. Area 11 is sort of an observation chamber. Area 3 is sort of a puzzle room with some mirrors. And it's all really confusing, especially Area 6, which is the room with the sarcophagus. Now, I don't fully understand why Alessia doesn't know about Valen being a mummy, given that the sarcophagus and these canopic jars are sitting right there in front of her in Area 6. The plot of this adventure is a bit wonky to me, which is why I'm not going into super detail about it. This adventure really didn't sit right with me. If the party questions Alessia, who is a servant of Valen, they can convince her that she is a mummy lord doing evil mummy lord things. But why or how she's able to just navigate this tomb with the massive sarcophagus in it and not realize that Valen's a mummy lord you just explain that away with magic, I suppose. Also, something to note is that these canopic golems have a ton of health and they are immune to spells. This is another thing that I really don't like about this adventure. I'm trying not to make this video a review of the adventure, but this is one of my least favorites because the temple itself prevents teleportation, so your party can't use their misty steps or dimension doors. Most of your spellcasters will be unable to cast spells at these canopic golems, period. And they have a ton of health, so the fight is really sloggy. So that's just something to keep in mind about these canopic golems. This is a very boring fight. The Dow fight is pretty good, where you fight the crystal and you get the sword. That's pretty cool. But these canopic golems are absolutely awful fight. And by the book, you fight the boss Valen on her own. She has the stat block of a mummy lord by herself. Now, I have a rule where you never fight a big bad evil guy by themselves. They should always have minions. Otherwise, every single attack, every single action gets funneled into the boss and they die pretty quick. Especially a mummy lord that only has like 90 hit points and is vulnerable to fire. So one or two fireballs and she's toast. By the book, a mummy lord by itself, a 13th level party, will eat through that mummy lord in maybe 1 or 2 rounds. They will not stand a chance. So what I did was I moved 2 canopic golems into the room with the mummy lord. Or if your party hits the treasure room first before they fight the boss will actually teleport in, because the boss is allowed to teleport, the party is not. The boss will actually teleport into the treasure room and stop them from claiming the treasure and start the fight with her canopic golems. Keep in mind, with 2 canopic golems and the boss itself, this will be a challenging fight. It will be a decent fight. Maybe you could do 1, gauge it off of your party, but it's still going to be sloggy regardless. The mummy lord can hang back while the canopic golem fights the party, but I would recommend changing the canopic golems completely to prevent the fight from being so sloggy. And it's not the challenge that's the issue of it. It's the fact that the dungeon locks them out from a lot of the teleportation abilities, and the canopic golems lock them. Like if your party members playing a wizard or a sorcerer or any kind of spellcaster, they're basically just sitting there shooting cantrips or buffing the party or shooting cantrips at Valen. And if Valen drops and the canopic golems are fighting, they're useless. So yeah, I don't really recommend this adventure. The dungeon is massive and boring and empty for the most part. The story is a bit, what's going on here? My main issue with the story, I don't mind the story. It's Alessia not knowing that Valen's a mummy lord, even though the book describes Alessia, who is Valen's servant, as making frequent contact with Valen. And if you look at the dungeon, she can't possibly reach Valen without going through the sarcophagus room. And how on earth she actually goes through the room with the sarcophagus and the canopic jars and not piece together. I mean, these are divination wizards. I don't know how they pieced this together, but I don't know. I don't really care for the story. I don't care for the dungeon, and I don't care for the combats in this adventure. If you want to improve on that, you're going to need to do a complete overhaul. I would just recommend not running it. So that's all I got for the Canopic being. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, you know how YouTube works. Hit those buttons, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of this adventure. Let me know if you made any improvements to it, or if it's fine as it is and I'm just overthinking it. If you want to be a part of this D&D community, make sure you join the Discord. Link is in the description. Come by, ask questions. Let me know what you think. And as always, I'll see you at sundown.